Hello, good afternoon to Ars Electronica Home Delivery. My name is Sandra and I'm here in the Ars Electronica Labs, more specifically in one very interesting part of the labs, the so-called SecondBodyLab. And that also pretty much gives away what this segment will be about. We're going to talk about alternative limbs, also called prostheses. So maybe some of you have seen the pictures I'm standing here behind already, and I'm going to show you them in detail and tell you little stories about them. But first of all, when I'm here with a group at the museum, I normally ask the group if they know what a prosthesis is, and maybe even if they know what the oldest prosthesis ever found was and when it was built, when it was created. Normally when I ask what a prosthesis is, I get an answer like an alternative leg, as you see here behind me. Or people who lost an arm, or part of any face part, you could even say. People come up with those answers quite frequently. Then I try to confuse them a little bit and say, are any of you wearing glasses? And they say, yeah, of course I have glasses, but what does that have to do with alternative limbs? Well, alternative limbs are used to replace something that's missing or to enhance, augment something that also might not be perfect, as your eyesight. So that's why, technically, your glasses could be counted as augmentations of your physical ability as a prosthesis. And that's actually quite an interesting intro into the topic of what a prosthesis can be. And then I go back a step in history and tell them the first prosthesis found, the first one created that we know of, is from approximately 300 BC. It was found on an ancient Egyptian mummy, although ancient Egyptian is kind of confusing because it was not done in the time of the pyramids and the pharaohs, but in the Greco-Roman times. And this prosthesis was for a toe. It was made of wood. And actually it even had a little functionality, so you could move it a little bit, and it had signs that it was worn quite frequently. So it was not simply decorative, no, it was actually used by a person in Egypt before her death. And that's what got people thinking, like, if prostheses were around for such a long time, how have they developed over time? One giant leap regarding this technology was made during the First World War. There was a lot of gas attacks going on, and people often came home, if they came home at all, from war disfigured. And there was one specific woman, she was French, and she was like a pioneer in the art of making and replacing body parts, especially facial parts, that were missing from attacks during the war. And she gave those men a life back. She made them feel normal again. So that's one specific aspect of having prostheses, to have the ability to appear normal again. But that's kind of an old-fashioned approach. And now in the 21st century, we can do so much more. We can enhance this technology, we can be creative, and we can express our artistic image of ourselves. And that's what this young lady does here perfectly. Her name is Knox, and she's a so-called body positivity activist. She was born without the lower half of her left arm. And for that, she said, like, okay, that's my body. I'm happy, I don't need any artificial limbs, I can do without it. But for this movement, she teamed up with a famous UK artist who makes prostheses, and her name is Sophie de Oliveira Barata, and she decided, okay, I don't want to make you a normal arm, and she asked Knox what she wanted to do, and she was always fascinated with aliens, anything extraterrestrial or even a little bit creepy. And that's how this idea of the tentacle came to be. It's a little bit grounded also in nature with the colors, and also if you think about an octopus maybe, or even in science fiction or fantasy, if you think about the Pirates of the Caribbean movies with Davy Jones, just think about him coming up to you, trying to shake your hand with this tentacle. But for her, it would be possible, because this is not just a decorative piece. No, it's not just a replacement. It actually functions as a grabber. So she can control this tentacle with a little motor inside here through a button or two next to her toes. So when she taps her toes, she can activate the motor and even grab a wine glass, for example, or give someone a hug. I don't know if you would want to, but it's actually, I think, a pretty cool experience. So she's more the artistic guy. She actually had 3 different arms made for her for various shows, but she also models without any arm. So for her, it's both about feeling comfortable with what you have and using it as an accessory, not necessarily as a replacement. But of course, there are other cases as well with prostheses. So let's come over here to this young man. He's one of my favorite exhibits to show. His name is James Young, and he was an avid gamer. So before his accident involving a train and rails, he actually had not lost his arm before, so he was not born with a deficiency. No, he actually lost his arm. And to make up for this loss, he applied in a competition done by the company Konami and a UK project-based prosthesis lab. And they decided, okay, we don't want to do a normal alternative limb. We want to do something more in the direction of a cyborg. A cyborg is a mix of human and computer parts. And what they did here was take inspiration from one of the games made by Konami, the famous Metal Gear Solid franchise. And the Metal Gear franchise and the Metal Gear Solid game specifically. One of the characters, Snake, has such an arm, and he can do a lot. So this young man here can thankfully not actually shoot rockets out of his arm or control them, but he can also do a lot of cool stuff. So after he won the competition to get this arm, 60 people applied, approximately. They decided what to do with it. So one of the things he can do is he can charge his phone, for example, with his arm. Pretty practical in nowadays time when the battery runs out like after half a day. Or he can go on and have a little screen here and get his messages, Facebook, Messenger, whatever. And the really cool part is this little quadrocopter here, this little drone. He can actually control it with a remote on his arm and a one-handed remote controller in his other, and can actually fly around with it. So it's much more than just a replacement of what he lost, but an enhancement, an augmentation of what is possible with the human body nowadays, with the technology, with the electrics behind it, but also with the material used to build it. Because 100 years ago, you could not have done that with a simple wood prosthesis. So, 2 aspects here. Creative freedom, functionality, and enhancement, but there is more. So we're going to go to the next station. So maybe some of you like to wear jewelry. I know I do. I love wearing different kinds of jewelry every day. And maybe if you're missing one of your fingers, as we see on this example here, also sculptured by Sophie de Oliveira Barata, by the way, she thought, why not see this whole missing part as a chance to go beyond what normal jewelry can do? And that's what happened here. You have a different set of fingers you can put on your missing index. One if you want to blend in for work day, for example, but if you want to go out at night, why not go all out and use the stone cap or the one that looks like a little mechanical gear or glass or wood or whatever you prefer, just like you would put on your jewelry for a night out. And it's also about acceptance, that it's not just missing a part of your body so that you can replace it and look as normal as possible, but that you can do even more. And we've been talking about adults for the time being, having to deal with loss of arms or with expressing themselves. But what about kids? They have a much harder time sometimes to accept that something is missing. And also the social pressure. That's the last project I want to show you over here. Think about your time in school. Maybe you had some experience with bullying, as a lot of people had, sadly, and you had all your body parts. Now imagine that this would not be the case and you would be missing an arm, like the little boy behind me in this video. And that's sadly a case for a lot of children around the world, especially in less developed countries. So Carlos Arturo Torres Tovar from Colombia thought, why not change the image of missing a body piece? He thought you could do a lot with creativity that children have in abundance. And that's why he came up with the idea of icoprosthetic systems. What's so special about it is it's specifically designed with children in mind, and what you see here is the basic set. So you have the interface, the mold that goes onto the part of the body that we want to replace. We have the muscle and the battery system and the grabber. Looks pretty standard so far. It's 3D printed, which is again neat considering new technology. But with this, you can do so much more. Actually, you can enhance this simple prototype with standard Lego pieces. So when you have a Lego set at home and you have, for example, a spaceship or a car or anything you want to build, you can do and mount it on this device, replacing the hand completely or enhancing the hand pieces as well, the fingers. And you can do so alone or with a friend or with your family. And basically just be creative and take away the stigma that comes with not being complete. You can be even better than your friends, so to say, and everyone will be jealous because you have a cool rocket on your hand or a light or something like a grabber you can grab stuff with. And this is what I like about this idea, that it's taking the creativity in mind as well. So it's not just one set that's given to you, but you can actually design and change it very easily at home. If you don't want your arm anymore to look like this, just make a new one. And it's also relatively cheap due to the 3D printing process. It's still a prototype, but I hope the ICO system will be on the market very soon. And as I said, there are many, many ways new technology can help develop this prosthesis in a different direction or multiple directions to make life easier for adults, for kids, for anyone who has had to deal with a stigma based on not being complete. And with that, that's it for my segment. I hope you can visit again soon to see those amazing projects as well. And also you can check out the websites for them. They are all online as well. And they create new projects like almost every year, I would say there is a new one. The Sofia de Oliveira Barata was from 2017. This one is 2018. So actually, it started in 2014, but it's now been developed even further. And these guys really deserve our appreciation for what they do for people who have to face such difficulties. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it and have a nice afternoon. Goodbye.